The first time I went to Santa Maddalena, I've gone twice, so I'm not quite at Ed's level yet. I met Beatrice, and at dinner we had a conversation about books, and she said, "Andrew, I think you need an education, and we'll start with a funeral." And she took me to the funeral of a great artist that she had represented in her gallery in Milan, D'Orazio, and the three of us, the four of us who were there, were staying there at the time, we all went and we dressed up in what we had that was as black as possible. We didn't know the man at all, but she introduced us to his paintings and to other artists who knew him, and we got to watch an extraordinary event. But she also started introducing us to books that might influence us, to more ancient art that might influence us, sort of trying to see anything that might ring a bell, you know, get something going. Because I had arrived there despairing about not my second novel, but this novel, it happened, that's the end of the story, and telling her I just don't think I can do it, I think it's a terrible idea, it's like I've entered a bad marriage and I can't get out of it. And my mother would normally say, "Oh, that was really hard, honey, I'm sure something will be great, you'll be wonderful." But Beatrice said, "Don't be stupid. You're a great writer and you will write a great book." And that was the end. No sympathy at all, but as if it were impossible that I wouldn't do it, and I thought, well, oh, okay, yes, ma'am. And I did finish the book. I'll read you what I wrote there. But the second time I went to Santa Maddalena, she and I went to a flea market in Arezzo. And it was a very, very hot day, and none of the Italians were there, and none of the sellers were really there, and we were finding nothing at all. Certainly nothing for me to bring back to San Francisco. And we were on our last little leg, and we walked by a nothing-looking stall, and I saw her eyes go sideways, and she said, "Keep going, keep going." And she said, "It's a D'Orazio." A little painting over there. She said, "How much do you have?" I was like, "Well, how much is it going to cost? It's a D'Orazio." She said that she doesn't know it's a D'Orazio. The rest of the conversation, I had 100 euros, and that's what she managed to get the painting for me for. So it was a strange moment where I had gone to the funeral of a man whose paintings I'd never seen, and now I own one, it's hanging on my wall. But it was the kind of, I think Colin talked about, the eye that she has, always looking for something special, even in a sort of pile of trash of that market that she could give me. One of the things she gave me that first time when she said she was sure I would write a good book was Grisha's book, The Snows of Yesteryear. And I had Grisha's studio at the time, which looks out over the valley, and is full of windows, and has vines that have made it into my novel, and little honeybees that go and then they die at the end of the day. And that made it into my novel too. In all of his books and his old Olivetti. But mostly, what I remember about the book is I understood the tone I needed to take in my own novel, which was unsentimental memory, and intelligence, which he had more of than I do, without cleverness, and its intensity of description. And I remember reading that book and sitting down and writing a description of one of the main characters in The Story of a Marriage. The first thing people noticed in my husband was his looks. Tall, dark, with a comforting smile that seemed to hide nothing, the kind of effortless beauty that can't be marred by strain or illness, like something beaten out of gold, so that even if you bent it or melted it down, it would be a pure, beautiful thing. That's how I saw him, ever since I was a girl staring at him in our classroom. But I was not alone. It was how everybody saw him. Beauty is a warping lens. He had the kind of looks that are always greeted by grins and handshakes, extra glances, stares held for a moment longer than usual, a smile and a face not easily forgotten. What a distorted, confusing way to live. To be offered jobs and rides and free drinks, its own house sweetie, to sense a room changing as you move through it, watched everywhere you go. To be someone people long to possess, and to be used to this feeling. To be wanted so immediately, so often, that you have never known yourself what you might want. And he was mine, of all incredible things. What would I have told you about my husband in those young days of our marriage? Just that he had a lovely baritone, and he liked his whiskey neat. That he would lend a stranger $20 if they seemed like the right sort of fellow. And later, when we had a son, he carefully tracked his health and called the doctor whenever we were worried, and tenderly soaped Sonny's legs in the bathtub as if everything were good. Always well dressed and smelling of leather and wood, like a favorite coat or fine piece of furniture. He liked to smoke, but hated to be seen doing it, a holdover from his soldier days. And I would come upon him in our married home, leaning against the frame of the patio door with a lonely expression, right hand dangling emptily inside, left hand trailing smoke, exactly the position of California leaning against the Pacific. He kissed me goodbye every morning at 8 and hello every evening at 6. He worked hard to provide for us all. He had nearly lost his life for his country. Loyal, decent, a soldier, American virtues. All of that is true, of course, though it gets no closer to the real man. They are simply the things one would set upon a tombstone. And they have, in fact, been set upon the tombstone of Holland Crook.